I wouldn't have
right?
hair. Just kidding. I don't have hair anyway. I'm so jealous of people that have hair, by the way. I really am. I'm like, why did I get this? But whatever. I have other talents, so
Right, exactly. You can't be everything,
can't
right?
be everything. Can't have
You've
everything.
got to have something
Oh
that
man,
keeps
what
you that
I would
keeps you humbled, you know?
I would be so grateful if I had hair. Anywho. Hey, I'm Armando Leduc, producer, film actor, and owner of Leduc Entertainment. I've chosen a life off the beaten path and wanted to find others that are doing the same. Spaghetti on the Wall is a show based on all of the years that I've thrown spaghetti on the wall and nurtured what stuck. We will share fun stories, ideas, tips, tricks, and more. Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you are consuming this podcast. Shout out to the listeners who support this podcast. We really appreciate y'all. And today we have Denise O'Donnell on the show. What's up?
What's up? What's up? How are you?
I'm good. From Scope. And let me
That's
just
great.
say, I love the accent. I really do.
Thank you. I love your accent as well.
You do? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love like the Scottish and the Irish accent. It's just so memorable and nice to listen to. Like I can just hear it all day. It's fantastic. I
That's
love
a
it.
nice compliment. Thank you.
So you're an MSP.
So we are the supporters of MSPs, right? So
Okay.
we are in the MSP world. I worked in the MSP world for, probably a wee bit over a decade as a CFO, and decided to really be able to put that into practice and help other MSPs grow to the level that they want to without having sort of those huge expansive expenses for those leadership positions that they need because, well, I've lived and breathed them for so long. So it's nice to sort of be on the other side and start helping this type of companies that I used to work for.
So I wanna know because AI is just all over the place now, right? How do you see AI sort of affecting the tech world, in terms of security and cybersecurity and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we have to remember is AI is a tool, right? And I think those that learn how to utilize AI and use it as a performance tool will succeed within the MSP industry, and those that don't might find themselves a wee bit behind the curve. And I think that's true sort of MSP and MSSP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's on the security side or on the services provider side, because, and I think of it like this, right? If I go to a doctor and then all of a sudden that changes and they say, you are about to have a heart attack, you need to go and get 4 stents put in. AI told me, I'd be like, I want to see a doctor, right? And
Right.
it's not that I don't believe AI, but I want a backup. So I think those that learn how to utilize AI to get things done more effectively, more efficiently, will really begin to succeed because it is a great tool, but it isn't the be all and end all. It still needs, human interaction. I think that's one of the reasons why we don't see self driving cars as prominently as maybe we thought they would be, right? Because it's a conscious decision. If you've got a 50-50 split, how does a computer make that ethical, moral compass guidance, right? It can't. And so the way I think about that or try and explain it to people is AI is a tool, right? Because if we have a self-driving car and the car knows if I hit the two pedestrians that have stepped out in front of me, I'm gonna hurt them, or if I stop abruptly, I'm going to propel my driver out. So someone gets injured either way, but we can't trust a computer to make that decision. So we leave it up to human ability of chance, right? So I think that's how I think of AI integration from that sort of model, right, or that sphere. That we do need it, and we can use it to enhance a million things that we do. But there's also got to be people that know how to work it correctly, effectively, and integrate it into different business models where it works and where it flows.
I love that. I love it. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Right, right, not
I
at
did
all.
read I did read an article today on from CNN that was like all of these people warning against AI and how it's going to be, to the annihilation of human beings. And I'm like, interesting. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's like, I think as we see in the media and then in the movies, like they make it seem like that's definitely a real thing, right? But I think it becomes fear, false evidence appearing real,
Right.
right? And being able to discern what's truly reality and what isn't. And then, I still think there's going to be some humans that won't get into the AI world as fast as others, right?
Hmm.
I think right now, I think the statistics still show that in the metaverse, McDonald's own the biggest patch of land. Why? Because they're a real estate company, right? They're not a burger company, they're a real estate company. But from that, like they're going to sell off all those pieces in the metaverse and we'll create a whole new world with AI and different things. But I still think there's going to be part of us that as human nature kicks in, will want to go out and step on the grass, right? And be grounded back into reality. So again, like I see the wonders of AI, but I also see there still being some separation. And I think, like anything, consumption of too much of anything isn't good for you, right? It really doesn't matter. And I think the same stands for AI. But again, it's the fear. The people have fear because they're like, oh, I'm going to be eliminated. No, you just have to learn how to utilize the tool. We thought that when computers came out. We thought when the millennium came around, we were all going to be extinct.
I
No,
remember that.
yeah, right. We just learn how to work within that spectrum, and we go forward. So I kind of have the same opinion or outlook on AI.
That's great. I love that. I love the optimism for sure. I'm definitely an optimist when it comes to, just life. I think everything's sort of cyclical anyway. You know what I mean? It's a big old circle.
Yep.
And so things just come back around and, they go and then they come back and then they go and they come back. I mean, you see that with fashion. You see that with all kinds of things. So Denise, tell me, you live in Kentucky, but you're Scottish. How? What happened here?
So I played college soccer way back in the day. Came out on a college soccer scholarship. Went and you know lived out some kind of dream lifestyle. I think for a minute, it was like a fantasy land, because in Scotland you can't really do both. You've got to choose education or sports, right? Doesn't really integrate. Whereas, coming here, I had the chance to do both because I wasn't, I like to at least believe I'm somewhat of a realist, right? Like I knew I wasn't going to be having, a 25-year career playing professional soccer or nothing like that. So, knowing realistically, I had to have something behind me when that dream ended, right? And so having the power to combine two over in the States was kind of appealing. And kind of came over here on a whim. Coach had called me, was like, no, that's not for me. Got my plans, whatever that is. And then as sort of a stupid you know, idiotic 16-year-old, he called me and I was working at this jeans store, right? One of my first like retail jobs, and I had just been folding jeans all day long. And I remember he called me and he caught me like right as I was getting off the bus home, right? Terrible day, rain, coming down out the sky. And he's like, he's English, right? And he's like, are you sure you don't want to just, give it a try? And I was like, you know what? I will, I'll be there, tell me when. And he's like, right, you've got to be there in August. In August, and that was 4 weeks away. So I packed a suitcase, a backpack, hopped on a plane, and just kind of never looked back. So it was definitely on
Cool.
a hope, a wing, and a prayer that I made it here. And then life happened, and I ended up just kind of going to grad school, coaching, doing my master's degree, and then stayed after that. So it was sort of a fluke. It just kind of happened, and it caught me on a day when I was literally in a bad mood and sick of the rain, and I said okay. And 14 years later, here we are.
Oh, wow. Cool. Very cool. So you were a soccer player.
Yeah, well, definitely a past term was. I mean, I still love to watch it and still, play fantasy soccer with my brother back home, but I definitely don't play anymore.
No worries. So you work for, so you help MSPs.
That's right. That's right. We kind of do for MSPs what they do for everybody else, but on the finance and ops side.
Okay. Explain.
So we kind of like we use more of a strategic operation, right? We come in with a couple of lenses, but then we're looking to strategically look at your money, your logistics, and your people,
Hmm.
and then tying them all together so that all works like a well-oiled machine, so that you can provide that service to your clients that you want to. And we do those on different tiers. We can either give you the templates and let you run with it. We can coach you through it, or we can do it. If you're like, get this off my desk, what a load of nonsense, then I probably love that, right? Because I like numbers and puzzles. So
Yeah.
I try try and lift those burdens off others and create that strategic visibility so that you can see your business kind of more clearly, to make those more intentional decisions around your money, your people, and your systems, right? To then eventually reach that freedom firm that you're looking for, where you can walk away from it and either make an exit plan or just live the life you want to, right? I enjoy being able to create freedom for myself. That was why I got into this, right? So somebody else didn't tell me to sit behind a desk all day, because I'm not so great at that.
Right.
But I think as we go forward, we've seen that there's just a lot of gaps in terms of like where tech MSPs stand on more of that business framework side of things, so that they can focus on doing what they do.
Yeah.
Like they tell their clients, you need someone on call. Well, you kind of need that with your numbers as well, especially if you don't want to be the one that knows the ins and outs of them. Like, why not just have someone you can pick up the phone and go, hey, if I was wanting to do this, this, and this, what would that look like? Well, let's look at that. Yeah, I'll give you an answer, because I'm in there every day and can help kind of create that lens for you.
Why is this not the first thing people think about?
Because people go into business for themselves, and then they go in there with an employee mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're coming out of a 9 to 5. Most people, right? If you think about most entrepreneurs, they're like, they either work their 9 to 5 a wee bit while they build on the side, or they just go, right, okay, ditch the 9 to 5 100% in my own business. But they forget to switch to business owner, right? They forget to change that mindset and flip it. All they think about is like, and they go, well, I'm going to buy an office space. Well, what do you need an office space for? Well, because that's what we have at a company. Well, no, not really, right? Like, if you've got no employees and you can provide your services online, that's probably not the first thing you invest all your money in, right? I'm not saying that doesn't come down the line. I'm saying we put a realistic plan in place for you, right? And we want to come at it more as, we come at it from two sides. We want to build a viable structure, which is the now, and then a stable structure, which is the forever. If that's what you want, if you want a legacy to pass down, or if you really want to build to a level to get out, like, I get that. There's no judgment from our side. We're here to help you get to the place you want to be. And we sort of describe that as, in terms of having the plane of business, like you're the pilot, you're the CEO, you're driving that plane, you're in the air looking to the destination. But scope is the flight deck, right? Where you're co-captain, your first mate kind of thing, where you're fourth attendant in there, right? So that you have the structure. I'm not saying that I'm going to feed the people that are in flight. I'm saying I'm making sure those meals get to the plane so that your people can serve the meals in flight, right? And so we want to make sure that all those things are in place so that the people in their roles can do the job that they need to do so that the entire company is successful, right? And then really utilize those things to incentivize right commission structures, right pay structures, especially for sales sides on MSPs, being able to, there's so many times where we talk with an MSP and they're like, oh, my salespeople aren't doing what I want. And I'm like, well, what does your commission structure look like? Oh, well, I don't really have one. Well, then how on earth are you incentivizing exactly what you want to sell, right? Point in the direction you want to go. Stop trying to, you're causing your own turbulence when you don't do these things, right? And so a lot of times it's like you don't realize that you need this focus until you really have a mindset shift, right? And go from employee to CEO and look back and go, okay, if my goal is to sort of become that, the 2 comma club into the 7-figure realm, what do all 7-figure companies have? An executive team. Why? Because they need to know where they're going. They need the people to not only be able to dream up the idea, but the people to build it so that it can be executed, whether that is bringing in someone else or whether that's supplementing something, but building that structure. I mean, people can have ideas all day, but you still need the execution, and you need people to lead that execution, right? So I think a lot of times people are hiring all the wrong positions in the wrong order, and then they wonder why they're bankrupt in 2 years.
Money management is key. I mean, but it's all key, right? Like, it's like you can't really just like focus on one thing because it's all like, this is key, but this is also key. Like if you're not thinking about top line revenue, you don't have a business, right? But then like if you're not thinking about how you're managing the funds, you don't have a business. If you don't delegate properly, you don't have a business. If you don't have processes and procedures in place, you don't have a business. So all of that stuff. And like, I think people get burnt out. What's the statistic? 50% of all businesses fail within like a 2-year period. Like it's
82%. 82%
oh, it's
it is now.
82. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
high. It's high.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't, people just can't stay in business. And it's just there's so many moving parts. And I tell people all the time, like don't try to do it all yourself. You don't have the strengths. Do what you do well, and
Right.
then find the people that can help you do the other things so that you can be successful. If it wasn't for my team, there'd be no way. There'd be no
Right.
way I would be as successful. I mean, there would be so many balls dropped, and I'd have cancer because I'd be so stressed out. I wouldn't have
Right.
hair. Just kidding. I don't have hair anyway. I'm so jealous of people that have hair. By the way, I really am. I'm like, why did I get this? But whatever. I have other talents, so
Right, exactly. You can't be everything,
can't
right?
be
You've got
everything.
to
Can't have
you've
every.
got to have something
Oh
that
man,
keeps
what
you that
I would
keeps you humbled, you know?
I would be so grateful if I had hair. Anywho, so that's awesome. So Scope teaches, not teaches, but I'm sure you guys are consultants as well. Are you guys doing sort of a done for you system too, in terms of like, I guess you guys can handle it from, consulting, or you guys can take it all in house and sort of manage it, correct?
Exactly. So, we've got a structure that either you can kind of buy the templates and implement them yourself. Naturally, I kind of have the mindset that if kind of there's a Richard Branson has the philosophy of like, give everything away, because ultimately if it's not somebody else, if it's not someone's dream, they're not going to execute it. Right. And
Mm,
I know that when I give you a template that might look like the most beautiful template that can cash flow project for you like a boss, it doesn't matter because I made it, so I love it. It's my thing, right? You're not really going to use it, so we do provide the resources, but then we find that people end up coming back, right, to go help me use the resources. So a lot of times we try and match where the client's at, right? My job, and if you take a look at our logo, we have an open S, right, and that really stands for letting people know I am not coming in to close it, like to take over your business. I'm simply there as a support round that corner until you reach where you want to reach, right? I love what I do, and I want you to love what you do, but we need each other, right? And so then I just think of, and SCOPE stands for the successful collaboration of partners and entrepreneurs, right? So we partner with entrepreneurs in order to help them become successful because they don't know the order to do these things.
hmm
But I've sat in that seat so many times, from the non-profit startup side, the education startup side, the renewable energy startup side, like whether it's, I need to go and decide to do a Series A capital raise, or whether I need to really, look at what I can build, borrow, or buy in order to build a new business. We're there for either side of that, right? And that's sort of our purpose. We want people to, hire us out as the flight deck until they're big enough. Then we will help you hire the people to do that for you full time,
That's
and
cool.
we become sort of air traffic control, right? Anytime you want to change that flight path direction, we're there. You can call out to us and say, hey, I'm thinking about, changing. I don't feel like going to Bali anymore. I've decided to go to St. Lucia. How do I make that happen? And we're going to, say, all right, let's make these changes in flight, and we'll get you there. So our job is to work with you so much, or to work with you in the beginning till you don't need us to be in your business anymore. We are your third party consultant, sort of, devil's advocate, sounding board, that then you can use that strategically when you've got your own internal team, that you have an internal sounding board and an external sounding board,
Nice.
right? And really, again, you're sort of taking your business into new heights, new levels when you do that sort of stuff, right? And I genuinely believe if your coach doesn't have a coach, they're not really your coach, right? Because if you're not really genuinely putting work in yourself, like, it's hard to then, I think, give other people advice, because you're not keeping up with pace of the environment you're in. So,
Hmm.
again, my job is just to lay out the options and let you choose. Here's the strategies, here's how they work, here's where it will take you, here's how fast it will move, and you get to pick those options. So, we want you to be the driver. It's your vision. I'm just helping you execute it.
That's awesome. And you're specifically working with MSPs though.
That's right. That's right.
Any other businesses?
We do a lot of non-profit work as well. I'm licensed in non-profit as well, so helping non-profits really get their matrices right and understand how to spend money and solicit money is one of our strengths. Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't know that. Very cool. I should introduce you to. I have a really cool contact. Her name is Audrey Chisholm in Orlando, and she does. She's a nonprofit attorney, and
Yeah.
so she might be a good contact for you because she's got 500 plus nonprofits that she works. That she's worked with over the years. So
Oh,
that's good.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so you guys are the operational end of things and the finance end of things.
That's right.
Okay. So are you guys so you guys are putting together processes and procedures?
Yep. So daily logistics, things that you might have, and then we have, sort of so we have four sort of key roles that we can play for you, right? We've got the CFO on the finance side, COO on the logistics side, the chief people officer on the people side, right? To help
Mm-hmm.
whether it's with culture, building trust, whatever you're feeling is a gap within the people, or strategy, or your chief strategy officer, right? Really to sort of help you unjam the gears, see where you're going wrong, or like help you put those things in order, right? Making that strategic plan to get you to where you're trying to go, rather than guessing and wasting all your money and your time and your energy, like you mentioned earlier. Getting you're burnt out before you get there. Like that
Mm.
shouldn't be it. You should really be enjoying those first few years of like learning and building relationships, and thinking about where you're going, not necessarily doing all of the day-to-day grinding of that. And I think one of the things we try and explain is that your biggest reward always comes from your biggest investment, right? And you
Mm.
think that you've got to think of things again when you move from employee mindset over to CEO mindset. You've got to think of these as not as expenses but as investments, because they get you there in the long term, right? You might feel like it's bringing you somewhere in the short term, but that's just, again, people having fear of decision making. Why? Because they probably don't know their numbers, and they don't know if they're getting a contract next month. Well, I would much rather know how many contracts are coming and be able to have a whole, sort of revenue dashboard, that if one of those things move, I can reforecast all that to go, well, we've got to pull in two more clients at least this level
That's
over here,
cool.
so that you don't decline in revenue, or we had a really dry February, which means we need to really crush it in March and April, so that we're still on track for year end. We're always looking. With your bookkeeper, they're all looking back. Things have already happened. They're just putting it in order. Now, your bookkeeper can put things in order. Like I explain this, like I can do my laundry and I can put all my socks in pairs, but it doesn't mean that my pairs are matched. It doesn't mean I might have a red and a green or a blue and a yellow, right? Who checks that? So bookkeepers and accountants are doing all the stuff in the past. It's already happened. It's a bit too late for that. Your CPA is usually taking one point in time, one financial statement, and creating a tax return. But your CFO is looking at the backwards, the forwards, and the now, and making sure your decisions are
Mm.
in line with every strategy that you have. And I think that's where people make mistakes, because that's one of the biggest, sort of pieces of feedback we get. Well, oh, I've got a bookkeeper. And I'm like, well, do you check that? Well, no, my bookkeeper's doing it. Yeah, but your bookkeeper is a bookkeeper, right? Like, how do you know that everything is matched, right? Are my socks in pairs, or are they just matched up? Right? And it's like they don't think
Hallelujah.
of it like that, right? They go, and then they go, oh, okay, wait a minute. How would I know if there's a problem? Exactly, you wouldn't, because you've not got the right person on your team to say, okay, you've got a problem here, or guess what? That's not mapping to that goal that you have. So we got to change the strategy here because it's not working. Rather than getting to the end of the year, looking back and going, bummer, I got no cash, I drained it all, and I still am not any further forward than I was this time last year. You know?
I love that. So you can work with other businesses though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I had a friend, and I'm gonna get your opinion on it. So he does marketing too. What he's doing is he's doing joint ventures with some of his clients where he's like, look, I'm gonna grow your business, right? So instead of paying me $10,000, $15,000 a month for marketing, I will pay $10,000, $15,000 a month in marketing, right, to market your business. But then I want a percentage of your business.
Hmm.
Can you help facilitate that?
Yeah, I mean basically an equity transaction, right? Where you're given a percent of your business in exchange for the service until it gets to a certain amount, and that's, deliverable on whatever the parties are agreeable to, and you just put that in place. We certainly, we have Scope has the same, does the same thing, but on the cannabis sector, and it's called joint profits. And so we do the same thing, and we write equity agreements all the time, because a lot of times we'd work with women in minority owned businesses, and they don't know how to lift, right?
Yeah, that's look. Let's talk.
Okay.
Let's talk. This is gonna be great because look, I know we have, with all of our clients, we grow their businesses, and when I tell you grow, like we exponentially grow their business. So and some people just they have great businesses, they have everything sort of in place, but they don't necessarily have the money, or maybe they don't have maybe they're a little risk averse. And I'm like, great. Well, like if we can create an equity, deal where I will sink, 10, 15K a month, into your marketing and blow your business up.
Yep.
Then I can get equity in that business. And now I have multiple streams of income.
Yep.
Denise. That's
Yep.
awesome.
And then you also always have the ability to buy out when you need liquid cash. Yes. So it always works in your favor, right? When you do the equity deals on your side, like, because you're essentially bankrolling somebody else, right? And although there's not interest related, then what the gain on the other side for the people, or the incentive to do it, is that then you've always got back cash to bank on if something goes in the wrong direction for you, which I like. So that builds stability, right? It builds you with a bit more financial security than before, while also creating another side of passive income streams. So
yeah, I was thinking about, oh man, should I go into real estate? And I don't necessarily love the real estate market. I'll tell you that. I'm not passionate about it, but I love entrepreneurship. You know what I mean? Like I could see myself, popping into a business, getting them profitable, and then bouncing, and then getting into something else. That seems fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, and it's done sort of all over the world through like that they started that sort of model on the pop-up market, right? Of like, I don't know if you've seen it. There's one on Netflix. It was done in the UK called £1,000,000 Menu, and essentially like these sort of people take they're putting their cash on the line. They do a month-long pop-up restaurant, and the people that are putting the money in go in and try it. They get the experience, and then they ask these people to come with their numbers and see if they're prepared for a big cash infusion, and then they just basically grow the business exponentially, and they buy it out, and that's it. But it's called £1,000,000 Menu because like one menu can make you £1,000,000.
Denise.
That's it. That's the model.
That's the idea. That's the reality show. That's what we shoot.
Yeah.
Let's shoot it. Like, let's shoot that. Where oh my God, that's the idea. Like we, and I've got a guy that, I got a company that produces reality TV, and they're always looking for concepts. This is a great concept where you're talking to different people about whether or not, you can go into business with them. You're going to infuse the marketing spend, blow up their business. And, Denise, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And then once you've filmed it, the concept there, you've basically got every video testimonial you ever need. Someone 100%. Will pick it up and done.
Yeah, and then you're like, you're making money on both sides. You're making money on the entertainment end of things, and you're making money on the financial end. And like Shark Tank, I mean, that's why Shark Tank is so beautiful, because like you have, you have all of the concepts on television, and it's like as seen on Shark Tank, so you got a built-in marketing. That's great.
Right. It just needs to be done on the service end or the entrepreneur end now, right? Instead of it being like a tangible product.
B2C, correct. B2B.
Yeah. And I think that's where service-based businesses really struggle to excel, right? Is that they've got something, they just don't know how to market it, sell it, talk about themselves, build an elevator pitch, build a unique selling point. They just don't even start to tie these things in, right? That's why
Right.
they need someone like you all to be coming in and be like, well, what do you do, right? Who are you targeting to? You can't just talk to everybody, right? Like all of those small things, but like startup entrepreneurs, again, they're not thinking like that. They're thinking like employees, and you can spot the business owners that have like had any kind of training or been in that strategic maybe C-suite themselves and then gone into business, because they're going, yeah, I can't possibly need employees till I even have like an audience to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Right, whereas some entrepreneurs have already hired themselves an assistant and a person to be doing their marketing, and they've got nothing to market, or someone to do their social media, and they've got no content going out that's actually talking to what they sell, all of
Hallelujah.
those things. And
Hallelujah.
I think, imagine being able to teach that on one stage of like, here's all your lenses, boom, and you really need to think about these things versus let me buy space and hire employees. Like, no, like all the best businesses started in a garage. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, like stop it. Like, you can appear big while acting small, right? Like,
Yeah.
we have the gem of social media today, that you have a reach that's almost infinite at times.
Yeah.
But like, stop putting the cart before the horse. You just can't. But again, that's where we see employee mindset come in, because they've been watching how their leadership team would do things, but they
Yeah.
forgot that there was an already existing framework there, right? They're building something from dirt.
I love it. That's why I love this podcast. I love this podcast so much, to meet beautiful minds like yourself. It's just good. It's really good. It's it's uh, it's so valuable. One idea can just change the whole thing, and
Yeah,
then knowing that one person to go, oh hey, this is possible. This is the way to do it. Stop wasting 5 years trying to figure this shit out.
right.
Like, there's a book. It's called The Road Less Stupid. Have you read it?
No.
Oh my God, read it. Fantastic.
Okay.
The Road Less Stupid, and he talks about the dumb tax. And he's like, avoid the dumb tax by hiring people, you know what I mean, and getting mentorship where you need it, so that you can
Right.
avoid 5-10 years. More than that, because you can avoid failure in your business altogether
Right.
by
Right. You
having the
can,
right people.
yeah, avoiding bankruptcy, avoiding the stress. Like, why is it that you think that you need to do this all by yourself? Like,
Why do
why?
people think that?
Why? And like, I love the response. Well, my spouse does my bookkeeping, and I'm like, and how many fights does that cause, man? Like,
Oof.
surely to goodness, that's not a good idea. Like, we see the other side of that. Like, do you know that person spent this at Panera? And I'm like, I really, that's not really my business here. I'm just telling you that this is the expenses, guys. Like, we're not causing any fights here. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
just don't do that. Like, go detach from, or when you've got your own business, like, you get to create that freedom at home. Go home like you're the happiest person in the world, and give your best to that person, because they deserve it.
Yeah.
Don't have them doing your bookkeeping, because one, they probably hate it. Two, they're probably not an expert. And three, like,
I'll
I
tell
can't
you.
even imagine how many fights it
Oh my
causes.
God. I had a podcast with a dialect coach, and she was also an actress, and we were talking about ego, and I think that ego is just such a detriment to everybody, but entrepreneurs in particular, because what happens is your ego gets in the way of getting help, because you feel
Yeah,
like you can do it all. You feel like that you want the accolades. You don't want to help. And then you're like, nobody's going to do it as good as I do it. And nobody, you know what I mean? That ego is just shit.
yeah,
Just like, put it to bed. Come on. Like,
yeah.
this ego it's crap. You know what I mean?
And at the end of the day, see if you would just check it at the door before you come in. One, you would probably have a better day, but two, the brain space you've got, because you're not questioning other people's things. Like, and you can't control it anyway, so what's the point? Like, just let it be. But again, that's employee mindset, because you're sitting there, you're doing the thing you were doing for 15 years in a cubicle. Why? You stepped away from that to get out of toxic work culture, to stop going to a 9 to 5, to be able to go pick your kids up from school if that's what it is, to go to sports games, to do whatever you decided,
Yeah.
to go work in Cozumel if you want. I don't care what you're up to. I'm telling you, you have the possibility to have a freedom job. Why not really embrace that? And I think one of the things that I think that keeps me humbled is I like to teach. I like to go back and teach at different colleges, and I love to try and find the person that's smarter than me in the room, because I can't wait to see what they become, right? Because like that to me is just like, okay, like I can already see that this person's going to be more talented than I am, and I can't wait to see their success trajectory. And I hope that one day they come back to me and ask me for my thoughts or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be. There's room for us all in this world.
Yeah.
So see if you just let that be and become at peace with that, like business starts to flow, right? Because you're the blockade to that. People don't want to work with you if you're constantly moaning about something, right? Like, I don't want to go into a meeting with someone every week that's like, oh, grumble, the world is a dark place, the zombies are coming to get us, and I may as well not work anymore, right? Like, I'm just like, all right, okay, well, we've got today. We can't control the zombies tomorrow, so let's figure out what we're working on today, so we can gain some success and traction, right?
Yeah.
Just
Today
do the
is all
next
we
right
have.
thing.
You're right.
Yeah. We're not promised tomorrow.
I love it. Denise, I love it so much. We're going to, I'm very glad to have met you, and really glad to know what you do. And we will definitely continue this conversation offline, because I definitely have some people I want to introduce you to, and see how this relationship develops. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me, all of our channels are at Scope CFO. ScopeCFO.com is our website, or you can find me, Denise, Scope CFO on TikTok. I'm usually talking some business nonsense over there to hopefully give people a bit more of a breakdown of things that they might not understand yet. So, you can find me there. You can always email helpdesk@ScopeCFO.com if you have any questions.
I love it so much. Everybody, reach out to Denise. Especially if you're a business owner, maybe just even have a phone call, and see what you don't know.
The answer is always in the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Denise.
Thank you.
That was Spaghetti on the Wall, brought to you by Leduc Entertainment for all of your digital marketing needs, social media, and you can always watch Spaghetti on the Wall, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You can find it. It's every Friday. Come on out. We'll see y'all. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see y'all next week.